Hello, this is Dr. Ferdin from India, and I am going to tell about an introduction for Raspberry Pi, which is a mini computer-like device which you can use for many applications. And it's quite a cool application for students' projects. And let's get into the exact devices. Like what's exactly a Raspberry Pi mean? It's like a small credit card, like a computer device, which can perform almost all the things which a normal desktop or a laptop computer can perform. And its price is like 1,300 Thai baht, which is around 35 US dollars. It's pretty cheap when you need to go for some kind of desktop or a laptop. So when you see this Raspberry Pi, it looks like a small credit card like device, but it has almost all the functionalities what a desktop has. Just let me go into the block diagram here. Like you have the Raspberry Pi input and output, and this is for Raspberry Pi model B. So it has 512 MB RAM, which is normally present in a computer, and then you have like audio and a video jack where you can connect the audio and video consoles, and then the USB port which is normally used for connecting the keyboard and the mouse, and then you have LAN which is used to connect the network adapters, and then you have a HDMI port which is used to connect a converter for VGA, and which is in turn connected with a monitor or any power display. And then you have this GPIO pin slots which is not present in a normal computer. This one you can use it for interfacing this Raspberry Pi device with some microcontroller kind of units. So you need to have some counts of pins here, like you can set which pin has to be acting as input and which pin has to act like an output. So this is all about this GPIO pin means. And then you have the SD card slot. When you see this SD card slot, there lies a need for a hard disk for any computer which can store the operating system. But unlike the desktop computers, you don't have any kind of the hard disk. But here you have some SD card. So SD card, you are just installing some operating system and then booting from that card itself. So that acts as an operating system. So instead of hard disk, you have this SD card. And then for power, you have 5 volt power adapter which can be connected by using any adapter which you can purchase from the market, the electronic shops. And then you have a comparison between this Raspberry Pi and its normal PC CPU, and you can see like the power supply is like this big box you have, and then you are reducing it to a power supply unit of like this small 5 volt power supply, and the power consumption is less. And the hard disk, floppy disk and CD-ROMs are not here. Instead you have like the SD card where you are loading all the operating systems. And then you have like 512 MB RAM and CPU, and which is present in the motherboard, and you have like a USB port and RCA video and audio jack which is normally present in the CPU. So almost all the stuff which you have in a computer, you have it in this small credit card sized board, and you can perform what all this bigger box can do. So when you think about what a computer can do, it's like it needs a platform. So platform is an operating system. So Raspberry Pi is working as like almost like a computer. So we are running Linux in Raspberry Pi OS. Why you need Linux? When you use Windows, it can be possible, but the thing is you have licensing restrictions. You need to pay a lot of money to Microsoft using their operating system. But here you are using this Linux, and we are going to learn how to use Linux. Okay. So where we get this inspiration from, like you have this kind of board which is something like a Raspberry Pi board which is connected to some GPIO kit which is programmed, and there they are using some kind of snack dispenser unit. It is programmed using some Python, and then they are dispersing the snacks based on the needs of the customers. And then this is quite a cool app, and it looks like some kind of Lego boards connected to each other, and they are having like lot of Raspberry Pi units connected together as a network. This is actually a small mini computer which is developed in University of Southampton in the UK, and they used like around 30 Raspberry units connected together in a network, and then they have achieved this mini supercomputer. So these are all some inspirations. Why can't we teach our students with some kind of these kind of hardware, so that they can also come out with some innovations and they can create more and more cool stuff like this. So how to run your Raspberry Pi? You need some software. If it is like a Windows platform, you need like a Windows 32 disk imager and real time, and you can strike it up because mostly we are not going to use this Windows. So Linux or Mac, you are going to use this PicoCom, and then you have like hardware where you have the SD card, USB cable, and serial adapter, which are very important when you have to consider for the connectivity of input and output devices with this Raspberry Pi. So after running the Pi, you have to jump on with the operating systems. So far we have discussed more about the hardware. Now we are going to discuss about the operating systems, which is something like Raspbian OS and Ubuntu and Fedora, the three more commonly used operating systems. But when you buy a Raspberry Pi, you have the SD card provided, and they'll be having like pre-installed Raspbian OS or a Noobs OS. And you have Ubuntu and Fedora. Fedora is like a version of Fedora operating systems which is specially meant for this Raspberry Pi. And then Ubuntu, as you all know, like is a free and open source Linux operating system. These are the types of operating systems which you can install in SD card, and you can boot to the Raspberry Pi. What can be done with this Raspberry Pi is like mostly you can do some robotics projects, and you can save the space. When you need some network like devices for some smaller applications, you cannot carry like that big CPUs, and you can store it in one place and you can use it. But if you want to save the space which the CPU takes, then you can go for this Raspberry Pi, and then you can save the space. Like it will be like a small miniature kind of stuff. So you can stack it over together, and it will be coming like 4 or 5 computers will be like this bound. So it is used for some kind of mini computer applications also. As I mentioned earlier, it is used for some mini supercomputer. Why can't you use for some smaller applications, or even you can go bigger than that? So here what we are going to discuss today is a robotic vehicle by using a Raspberry Pi, and the prototype is as shown in the screen. It is this a Raspberry Pi console, and you have a chassis kit for the robotic vehicle, and then you are connecting all these things to a GPIO controller. So before entering into this project, you need some sort of hardware and software. Firstly, you need this Magician chassis kit. It is a robotic vehicle kit. As you can see, it is like having some stepper motor wheel and some controller, and each stepper motor controller is having 2 wires from them which are which are to be taken as output from the GPIO console. So these are two different vehicle kits which you can use. This is like the top view and this is the side view, almost the same. And then the prerequisites you have like Raspberry Pi you need, a display or a monitor, USB keyboard and mouse, and then one coupler kit, that is GPIO interface, the breadboard, Raspbian or Moves installed SD card, that's what I mentioned, like the Linux installed SD card, HDMI and VGA connector, that is a connector which is used to connect to the monitor with this Raspberry Pi, and Raspberry Pi camera. This is kind of not necessary much, but you know, when you need to extend this project to a robot which can see, then you need to have some webcam or a camera. So Raspberry Pi is providing one small camera. It's like a miniature camera which you can capture the video or images. So based on the videos or images, you can make some decisions for the robot to work. So for working on this Raspberry Pi for developing a robot, you need some prerequisite skills. Firstly, you need some basic electronics and on how to work with the printed circuit boards and interfacing with the devices, and Python language, and which is having some basic Unix shell commands. So as you all know, like most of the microcontroller applications use some assembly level languages which is more complicated. So here we are using this basic Unix shell commands and Python language which is used to interface the Raspberry Pi along with the GPIO controller so that you can make use of this interface for the robotic system. And before going into the coding, you should know how to connect this robot vehicle with Raspberry Pi and Raspberry Pi graphical input-output kit. And then for coding, Python language is available for any Linux OS. So as we have already discussed, we are going to install a Linux OS in this SD card. So obviously it is going to have Python inside. And the header files for Python you have, like you need to import a GPIO. So this is all about the introduction, and from now we are going to learn about the programming part which you need to do for this Raspberry Pi OS. So we will discuss more in detail about this programming from the header for using the coding using Python.